Hello, my name is Taya Gray. I'm a certified Reiki master and teacher at Roots Reiki. Reiki is a Japanese healing technique used to reduce stress and pain in the body through the use of universal life force energy. Officially, that is the definition, but unofficially, working with Reiki is a lot like working with magic. I decided to name my practice Roots Reiki because I love the concept of roots. Roots being the first thing when you plant a seed in the ground that grow down into the earth to nourish into the soil. They tuck in and are nourished and held and supported so that they can grow up into be strong, blooming, blossoming trees and plants. And I believe it's like that in our own lives as well. When we are supported and nourished, we too can grow up into blooming, blossoming things. So when I'm working with clients within my practice, we begin at the heart of the matter, at the root, because I believe all healing begins at the heart. And so when we sit down to enter onto a healing journey together, we're dealing with the root of inflammation, or the root of a painful situation or a memory. And it's from that point that we start to move forward in terms of looking at it to bring in healing and flow. I have always wanted to be a healer. From the time that I was a little girl, I would go to Sunday school with my gram. She'd take me to church with her sometimes, and I would hear about these grand stories about Jesus healing really sick people or even raising them from the dead. And as a kid, that just sounded magical to me, and I loved the idea of being able to bring comfort and healing to people. As I got a little older, we had a beagle named Freddie, and I thought this was a great chance for me to learn to tuck in and learn to communicate with animals, and then I could share all my secrets with them, and I could pick his little beagle brain and find out all his little beagley secrets. And so one night I tucked down nose to nose with Freddie, and it was terrible. He bit me. And at that point, that was one of my first experiences with the law of the jungle. And at that point, the law of the jungle being, don't go nose to nose with a grumpy beagle. He will probably bite you. But from that point growing up and still really finding it difficult to connect with other people and even to connect with myself, but really having a yearning for those connections all the same, I began to understand more Rudyard Kipling's impression of the law of the jungle, as he wrote in his book, The Jungle Book, and that is, the strength of the pack is the wolf, and the strength of the wolf is the pack. And that reality just being that we need each other, we need that connection, that those connections really are helpful to sustain us in our lives, but also as individuals, we bring strength to the group as well. And so really seeking that in my life. I got married very young, moved out to the Midwest. My then husband was a musician. We formed a small business where we were touring and playing music all over the world. And at that point in my life, I was the CFO of our business. I oversaw all of the business management, the financial situations. I was doing a lot of the booking and contacting while we were on the road touring, and certainly all the merchandising. So that I was having thousands and thousands of connections all the time for years and years, night after night, connecting with people all the time, and still finding that at the end of the day, when I would come home to myself, I was still very lonely and feeling really isolated, and like all my efforts weren't necessarily contributing to something that I was getting to be a part of. So I went through a divorce and moved back home to Washington, where I was invited to my first Reiki class. And I had no idea what Reiki was at that time, except that it sounded a little magical to me, and still carrying that idea in my heart of magic and wanting to be able to bring soothing and healing to people. I jumped right into that class. And so learning to come into a space of very small space of a single moment where in that moment I had what I needed. All was well. Jacob was alive, and that was all that mattered. And so moving from one moment to the next moment where I had everything I needed and all was well. And so moving through that time in a very focused, very present way. And fortunately he recovered, and we were able to come to that initial induction phase of his chemotherapy into a space of remission where we were able to sort of take a deep breath, heave a sigh of relief. Unfortunately, shortly after that period of time, then I was diagnosed with invasive breast cancer. And so again, we found ourselves sort of in the pits. It was definitely a blow to our morale, but it was really interesting for me. My diagnosis was very different than receiving Jacob's diagnosis. But in addition to that, it was really unusual because it was like, along with my cancer diagnosis, came a doorway opening up into a deep part of myself. And that doorway was a path, which was an invitation to become a healer. And so I almost felt like my breast cancer diagnosis was a rite of passage for me. And so my breast cancer journey was very unique. Being a new Reiki practitioner, having a general understanding of Reiki energy and how to use it, I suddenly had an opportunity to practice Reiki on a very sick body, and that body was my own body. In terms of managing pain, when you're going through chemotherapy and radiation, sometimes the discomfort in your body and the pain levels, those can get really high and intolerable, and your instinct is to just get away, to get out of your body, and anything to get away from that situation. Whereas engaging Reiki really brought me into a space inside myself where I found that I had what I needed. And with that gentling Reiki energy, then to bring a presence not only to myself, but to the pain when it would come in its high levels. And so being able even to sort of manage those levels of pain, turn down those volumes to a place where I could be present with it and move forward and not be so overwhelmed. Working with Reiki, Reiki can be a detoxifying energy. So when you're using Reiki on a body, Reiki is generally going to bring balance into a body. And so chemotherapy being the protocol that I had chosen to work through on my cancer journey, that being a highly toxic protocol, and just bringing toxicity to every level of my body, down to my cells, and sort of breaking down the good with the bad, and just really bringing a lot of toxicity. I was able to learn how to bring Reiki in a very nuanced way, where I could bring it in to my body and bring balance and agreement with the chemotherapy, so that my movement forward, so that healing was moving forward based on balance and agreement. And so being able to learn the nuances of working with energy in the face of chemotherapy, and just really getting tremendous benefit as a student out of that situation. Fire, an insect infestation, all of that information is there for you to read if you understand it. And so when I'm looking at a human aura, an energetic field, I'm seeing those same things, rings going out. And sometimes I'll see stuck energies or blocked energies, and those are the energies then that I'm bringing my attention to with my clients during sessions. So that when I'm doing a remote session with somebody, I'm simply reaching my energetic field out toward their field and connecting. And in that way, we're able to sit in a session together. And a lot of times in those sessions, we're connected via a phone call so that we can still be talking and interacting. In my in-person sessions, also, it's good for me to be speaking with my client throughout the session and also receiving their input, just to kind of gauge where we're at. I also work with animals. Animals are a little different than human clients. They tend not to sit still in a chair over the course of a session. They can be a little more wiggly and restless, sort of like working with children. But again, then I'm able to bring my energy into their space, and I am always asking permission before I enter an animal's energetic space. And in that way, I can connect with them and be present with them to help them with anything that they are needing help with. Anxiety, pain, issues like that. I'm also available for coaching in mindfulness and meditation. People sometimes reach a point in their lives where they're looking for a way to de-stress and learn to bring calm moments of mindfulness, and I'm available to coach that. Whatever it is I'm doing in my practice, whatever the services I'm offering, always the goal being that connection back and that alignment to a space, a mind-body connection where there can be flow toward mindfulness and healing and well-being. In addition to practicing Reiki in my practice, I'm also a small business, so I'm having to keep in mind how I can be contacted if people are looking for a Reiki practitioner or a healer. And one of the primary ways I do that is through my website, rootsreikihealing.com. When I was developing my website, I had 3 goals in mind. I wanted to create a space where people could interact with my energy as a practitioner. And so on my website, I have testimonials available from clients who have sat in sessions with me and have had experience with me as a practitioner, helping move with them on their healing journeys with energy. Also, I like to have good information available on my website. And so in terms of connection, I have a blog space where I'm blogging regularly so that people who like to read, the readers can connect through my blog. I also have a podcast archive on my website where people who are listeners can listen to the podcast and connect with me in that way. And I also have a link to my YouTube channel so that people who are watchers can connect with me in that way. So a little something for everybody. So there's a way for people to connect with my energy if they are looking for a healing practitioner, and then decide if that feels like a good thing for them, if I feel like a good fit. I'd like to talk about a few things that I feel like set me apart as a Reiki healing practitioner. There are as many healing practitioners in the world as there are people seeking healing. And so for me, there are a number of things that I feel set me apart, that make me unique as a Reiki practitioner. And I believe those are the experiences and opportunities that I've had throughout my life that sort of weave the tapestry of energy around me. In addition to practicing Reiki in my practice, I also have considerations to make for myself as a small business. And I need to create a space where I am able to be reached by people who are seeking a Reiki practitioner. And I'm doing that primarily through my website. My website is rootsreikihealing.com. And as I was developing that website, I had 3 goals for myself. My first goal for my website was to create a space where people could connect with my energy as a practitioner. So on my website, I have client testimonials available. Clients speaking about their experiences with me in a session as a practitioner, so people can read about that and get an idea of what it's like to connect with me as a healing practitioner. But also, I have, for connecting on my website, a place where I write a regular blog. So for people who are readers, I have a blog space for them to connect with me. I also have a podcast archive on my website for people who are listeners and connect through listening. And I have a link on my website to my YouTube channel as well. So for people who like to watch and connect, there's a way for those people to connect as well. So a little something for everyone to be able to connect with my energy through my website. My second goal for my website was I wanted to create a space where I could be informative, where I have good information. I have information on the types of sessions that I offer, what to expect from a session, my fees, and ethical practices. That is an overseeing body where I have my practice insurance so that I can practice in my home office space and see clients legally. I also am getting updates through IARP regarding ethical and professional guidelines so that I'm making sure that I'm on track as a Reiki practitioner, moving forward legally and ethically with guidelines in that way. And then also receiving information about different modalities in which Reiki is being used, different ways where Reiki is being incorporated into other healing practices such as hospitals or nursing homes. Extended care facilities, and so looking for opportunities there to be reached, but also to provide support. And then finally, through IARP, I am a part of an international directory where I can be reached for projects or interviews. People all over the world can reach me through my overseeing body there on that directory. And then from there, I shared about my experience walking through leukemia with my son on a healing journey. Walking with your child through a possibly terminal illness is a very isolating and lonely thing to do. And having that experience, I feel like that uniquely equips me to bring compassion and empathy to other people in similar situations. And then, of course, walking on my own cancer journey with myself with breast cancer, and just moving through the healing and the chemotherapy and radiation and all that I was able to learn from that experience for myself, to this present moment, coming around full circle on my own healing journey. So feeling like all of those experiences in my life sort of funneling me into a place, onto the path that I currently get to be on right now as a healer, having the opportunity to walk with other people on their own journeys into a space of flow and wellness and well-being for them. So thank you for coming along with me today, for being with me through my storytelling, and I am sending you love and light into your life today. This is my assistant client, Gail, and she and I are going to do a brief Reiki session together where we are bringing balance and support to her chakra system. So we will be interacting with each other back and forth, and I will also be sort of explaining what's going on as it's happening. So come along with us and we'll see what happens. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to bring us into a space of meditation together. And we're going to begin by just taking a few deep breaths together. We're going to breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. And one more time. Out. I'm going to come up to your crown chakra. I'm going to open your crown chakra. And as I'm doing that, I see fluid light pouring in through the crown of your head. And I'm going to move that light through your head, your neck, pulling it out your shoulders, down your hands, your arms, through your hands. And as you feel that energy moving through your hands, go ahead and turn them around and ground that energy into the earth. And then I'm going to come back to your chest. I'm going to move that energy through your chest and your belly, your hips. I'm going to pull that energy out your legs, through your knees. Move it down your calves, into your feet, and out the roots of your feet into the earth and spiritual realms. And what I'm seeing here is good movement of light through your crown into your body. I see balance and flow. And I can hear that chakra humming on its frequency.
I can hear it too, Taya.
So I'm going to move my attention down to your third eye chakra, which is in the center of your forehead. Our brow chakra, or our third eye chakra, oversees our perception, our sight, our ability to understand correctly what we're seeing. And when I am seeing a healthy third eye chakra, what I see is literally an open eye, usually. And the resonating color frequency at third eye is purple. And I see Gail's third eye chakra wide open and resonating along that good violet frequency. I see it moving out into your energetic field. There's lots of balance moving out there. So then we're going to move down to your throat chakra. Throat chakra is right at your throat. There is a lot of energy happening at your throat chakra right now. Our throat chakra oversees our voice, our personal truth, the flow in our lives, our communication here. I heard you clear your throat. How is it?
I've had a lot of feeling like fluid in my throat, so wondering about my throat chakra about the last 3 weeks.
Okay. Okay, bringing a little bit of attention to that. And I feel a little tightness at your throat. So bringing attention to that. The resonating color frequency at throat chakra is that good sky blue. And so I'm going to bring that energy into your throat chakra to help sort of bring some balance and also reinforce the frequency and the energy there to give support. And we're going to come back to that in a moment. Moving down, bringing our attention to your heart chakra, which is in the center of your chest. Our heart is our middle chakra. It brings the balance in our lives. It oversees our relationships, our responses to growth and change as they come to us. The frequency here is green, and a good, healthy heart chakra is very resonant with green. And when I'm looking at your heart chakra, what I see is an open field. I just feel like I'm looking at the single blades of grass. And I see that energy moving out as balance into your field. Do you have an impression here at your heart? Do you have any sense here?
I do, and it makes a lot of sense. I just sent my next manuscript off to my editor, so I'm in a waiting mode, which is always full of anticipation. And then I've already felt a lot of creativity moving towards my 5th book, so I'm starting that at the same time.
Okay.
So I think that's all a part of this.
Got it. Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So that your root chakra is really strong and active. I feel strong grounding happening with the earth, and I do feel it really connected there to sacral too, in terms of that project that you're just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to just bless that chakra. And then I'm going to come up to your crown, and I'm just going to once again move that energy through all your chakras, down your hara line, which is the energetic line that runs from the crown of your head through your tailbone. It supports your chakras. That just feeling like a really good, nice, humming flow. I'm going to come up to your crown chakra and close that off. And I'm going to send the seat. Breathe out. One more time, we're going to breathe in. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Come back to the space between us. Namaste. Namaste. This is my best girl, Mika, and we are going to do an animal Reiki session for you. Mika can tend to have some anxiety. So when I'm doing a session with her, I like to begin at her crown chakra and move her energy down through her tail to ground her. And that helps to sort of ease her anxiety, but also the Reiki out of my hands is moving through her body and grounding her. There she goes. Yeah. Animals have 7 chakras just like we do. They have their crown chakra at the crown of their head, and their third eye chakra. They have a throat chakra, their heart chakra, solar plexus sacral, and their root chakra. And so when I'm working with animals to do a Reiki session, they are very unpredictable, unlike my human clients who like to stay seated in a chair for me. Okay. And so sometimes they will sit for a good long time, and sometimes it's just really quick. Animals are very sensitive to energy, and so whereas with my human clients, my sessions are generally about an hour, with my animal clients, they tend to be much shorter. So animals can be very unpredictable. They can move around a lot and do their own thing. But I'm still, when I'm working with an animal, I'm still reaching out with my energetic field and connecting with their field. And so whether we are close together or they are moving around restlessly, not making eye contact, it can be a little like children who will be sort of running around restless, not making eye contact, but they still know exactly what's going on. And that's what's going on with Mika too right now. So the key with working with animals is to be very, very flexible and patient. And lots of times when I reach out to animals and connect with them, I can see exactly what it is that they need. Sometimes they're showing me areas of pain in their body, or they're showing me anxiety in their energetic field. And then for me as a practitioner, it's a matter of being very sensitive to that energy that's present and sort of following the animal's lead about what it is that they would like to do. Animals being very, very sensitive to energy sometimes will not like being directly touched. On the other hand, if I'm just a little bit off an animal's body, I can feel the energy in my hands. It feels a little crackly, like if you were a strange kid like me and licked batteries, that sort of zingy feeling that you get in your tongue, or if you plugged in a Christmas tree and got a shock, that feeling of energy is what I feel on my hands. And so when I'm above Mika's body like this, I'm feeling that really crackly energy, and sometimes that can be too much for her and disruptive to her. Right now, she's holding space, and I can feel a lot of energy happening between us. Generally what I would do is move from her crown along her spinal column down to her tail, sort of checking her energy to see if something needs attention. And today what I'm doing with her is just moving that good energy from the crown of her head down through her body and grounding it at her tail. And so as she's doing her thing, then just really bringing that good energy to activate and support her body and her systems. And I feel her taking that energy through my hands and integrating it into her body. My sessions with animals tend to be quite a bit shorter, and part of that is because they are so receptive to energy. We aren't moving through defensiveness and guardedness like I tend to need to do with my human clients. So you can see Mika's really resting in now and relaxing that good energy. Thank you for coming along with me today. Namaste.